All right, so in my last video, I did an overview over what I think is the key concept of VF, which for those of you who didn't watch the video, well, first of all, you should go watch the video, but spoilers, the short version is that in Virtua Fighter, the whole point is to put your opponent in a situation where they have to respond, they have to make a choice. You then decide what you think their choice is going to be, and then you kill them for making that choice, right? You choose the option that murders them for making that specific choice, right? Very simple. Well, simple in theory, right? Every character has unique situations, has things about them that are, like I said, unique, and that force the opponent to have to make very character-specific choices as to which of their threats they wish to try to eliminate with a defensive option. You will have to learn what those situations are. Each character has them, but what we're going to look at right now is the universal sort of dynamic. It's an interaction that all characters can engage in. It's what Chanchai often refers to as VF boxing, which I'm a big fan of. I think that's both a fan of him and a fan of that term. And so that's what we're going to look at right now. So, like I said in that other video, no option you can do in this game is safe. Blocking is not safe. Crouching is not safe. Backdashing is not safe. Sidestepping is not safe, right? So nothing you can do is safe. And with that in mind, that's actually an important thing to keep in mind as we go forward. So first things first. The standing jab, right? The 5P. So every character has one. The 5P usually comes out in 12 frames. This is for many characters the fastest attack they have. Boom, comes out in 12 frames, right? So just like in Tekken, how 10 is the important number, right? Any move that is minus 10 or above is going to be punishable. Anything that's below that threshold is going to be safe. In this game, it's kind of minus 12. You understand why I say minus 12, kind of, in a bit. So this leaves me +2 on block. Hey, right? +2. So from here, I can throw him. You gotta hold that. Here, I can hit him with a mid, right? I can do all kinds of stuff from here. But here is the problem. There is another button in this game that is godlike, and that is the almighty 2P, right? 2P activates in 12 frames. It is hella fast. It is only, what is it on block? It is -5 on block. Awesome. -5 on block. I believe it is +7 on counter hit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, +7 on counter hit, and on regular hit, it is +4. So before we go any further, like I said at the beginning, nothing you can do is safe. What that means in this game is that actually, in many games, the idea of mashing when you're in minus frames is a dangerous idea, right? Why would you mash? Your opponent's obviously going to counter hit you. The thing is, you're not safe blocking either. So in Virtua Fighter, mashing 2P is just as effective as blocking. Like, this is the thing. Blocking is not inherently superior to hitting 2P, right? It is embarrassing how effective mashing 2P is. And so what will happen, especially for us as Tekken players, is when you're blocking something and you know it's not your turn, as a Tekken player, your natural instinct will be to just hold back, right? Or in this case, to block, right? But you'll eventually realize that's actually not necessarily, that doesn't keep you safe. So what will happen is that you will transition from someone who instinctively blocks when it's not your turn to instinctively mashes 2P when it's not your turn. Both of these are bad habits, right? And you need to outgrow them if you wish to become a better VF player. But ironically, mashing 2P is at least a VF bad habit. I'm not necessarily saying that you should do that, but the point is that mashing 2P is a frustratingly effective get out of jail situation because it'll go under highs, it'll go under throws, and because it's a strike, it'll blow through throws anyway. So even a crouch throw, it'll blow up, right? And because it's one of the fastest attacks in the game, it's not a bad choice, right? And so this is a bit problematic for you, right? Because if I'm, we're setting back to blocking, right? What good is being +2 if my opponent can just like sort of quickly mash a 2P out of all of my situations, right? What you ultimately need, what Gene here needs, is a 14 frame mid. A 14 frame mid to sort of enforce his plus frames, all right? Because without that, you know, let's see, God, yeah. So without that, everything I try and do will be stuffed. Oh, well, maybe not that, but everything I try and do will be stuffed by a 2P, right? Oh, 2P, too strong. 2P is OP, bro. I can't stop it. Everything I try and do is just getting stuffed. 2P is hella strong. It'll stop half your moves. But you know what it won't stop? Hold on. That, right? So you need a 14 frame mid. And for most characters, their 14 frame mid is this bad boy. 6P or forward punch. This is like a down forward 1 in Tekken. This keeps you honest. So this into this keeps people honest. Oh. right? Oh, well, right? This keeps people honest, right? And so against people who like to mash 2Ps, it is, again, just as 2P is embarrassingly effective, doing 2P into 6P is embarrassingly effective against mashers. You wouldn't believe how many people you will destroy just by doing this, because they will not sit in place. So if you notice that you're fighting someone who is constantly mashing their 2P to get out of it, first of all, recognize that that's not a bad option, especially if you don't know how to deal with it. And then also recognize that you need to start playing frame tight, meaning +2 into 14 frame min. Right? Keep checking on us. So already you can see one of the core dynamics here between the 5P, the 6P, and the 2P, right? This is a core dynamic. And of course, throws and blocking, right? This is a core dynamic. So right off the bat, remember what I said at the very beginning. The key situation is you put your opponent in a situation where they have to make a choice. You think about what you think they're going to do, and you do the thing that kills them for doing that thing. This is the version of that every character has. I have made my opponent -2. I think they're going to dick jab, right? So I'm going to do this. Kill them. Now I'm +7. Now what you going to do, right? If I don't think they're going to dick jab, if I instead think that they're going to, I don't know, if I instead think they're going to just mash their 5P, let's say, then I can just counter hit him with my own 5P, right? Or, right? If I instead think that they're going to guard, just block, then of course, what do? If I think they're just going to block, then I just do that, right? So again, thinking, you have to think about moves in pairs. This is true in most fighting games, right? And so doing this into 5P, this into throw, or this into 5P again, I guess. This is the core of VF boxing, right? This into 6P, this into throw. And as a defender, you also have in that situation. When you block a jab, what am I going to do? Am I going to try and challenge? Or am I going to try and step? Because, oh yeah, you got to think about stepping, right? What if they try and step? If I think my opponent, in fact, I'll record. So if I think my opponent is going to do that sequence, then I can just sidestep, right? Got him, right? Sidestep. So again, this is the basics of VF. In fact, if I was a super boring, like old school educator, I would be like, all right, me and my opponent have to fight just using these tools. Just using, right? Just using these fundamental tools, right? Another thing to keep in mind, and to be honest, I probably should have put this at the beginning of the video. Just as I said that the 12 frame jab is the fastest move that most characters have, 12 frame and 12 frame dick jab, right? Worth knowing, throws are faster. The game doesn't tell you here, but throws come out in 10 frames. So technically speaking, your throws are your fastest attacks. And this is actually a very interesting tidbit, because if a move is -10, then if a move is -10, is it punishable? Well, yes and no, right? Because nothing's confirmed. I can't hit you with my 12 frame jab, but I can attempt you, right? I can attempt a throw, but a throw is a three-way mix, because if you're -10 and I go for the forward throw, but you break forward, then you escape. But if I go for the back throw, you get hit. So essentially, what is punishable? I would say 12 frames is punishable. If a move is -12, it is punishable, right? But if a move is -10, you get a throw attempt. And that's worth knowing. And that's part of the reason why I chose Wolf here, because if you're a grappler and has access to some really damaging and scary throws, that actually has a lot of defensive implications, right? Because then it means that even at -10, you can really start to cause some trouble, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. Hopefully this has been useful. This is a short one. I'm going to do a bunch of shorter videos after the initial long one that I made yesterday. And I haven't decided what the next lesson is going to be, but hopefully this has been useful. So to summarize, the first situation you want to understand, regardless of the character you play, is this dynamic between the 5P, the 6P, the 2P, and the throw, right? Again, if this has been helpful, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And until next time, peace.